Do not get fooled by this common MCAT question.
Question 3. Albumin is the major blood osmoregulatory protein. The most likely effect of a sharp rise in the level of serum albumin is which of the following? Now, first of all, albumin is the most prominent protein in your blood. It's produced in the liver, and it can serve as sort of this non-specific transport protein where it can bind a lot of different things like drugs in the body, medications. It can bind to different lipids like fatty acids and whatnot, and sometimes even hormones. And so it can carry these things in the blood. In addition to that, albumin, by virtue of being a large protein that can't really exit the bloodstream, actually is the major contributor to the oncotic pressure of the blood, right? Which is basically the pressure that serves to keep water in the blood and pull more water into the blood. Okay, so if you have a high increase in albumin, so you have a lot more albumin, right? Well, what you would expect to happen is that your oncotic pressure or your osmotic pressure increases, right? So the pull on water to stay in the bloodstream and enter the bloodstream from the tissues increases. So of these, you're not going to expect a drop in blood pressure. In fact, it could actually help to increase blood pressure to some extent, okay, by basically trapping more fluid in the bloodstream. And fluid, the volume of your blood is one of the contributors to blood pressure. Okay, so that's wrong. An increase in the immune response, that's sort of irrelevant to albumin. And then C and D, so an efflux, of albumin into the interstitial fluids, this does not happen because albumin is too big to get through the endothelial cells making up the epithelial lining of the blood vessels. So it's always trapped in the bloodstream. And then D, an influx of interstitial fluid, and that is correct, right? Because basically, if you have a blood vessel and there's extracellular fluid, which is the interstitial fluid, and then you have the blood, okay, what's happening is that, your albumin, I'll say this is like the protein, it's exhibiting this pressure called the oncotic pressure of the blood or the osmotic pressure, which is going to make water want to come into the blood through osmosis, okay, and sort of dilute that high solute concentration by virtue of having all those proteins there. And so fluid is being pulled in. And so if you have more albumin, you would expect to have an influx of fluid into the blood.